My name is Stephen Simkanga. I'm from Zambia, currently chairing the UbuntuNet Alliance. I've been chairperson for the past, this is the 4th year now. It's a 3-year term. This is the second term. And my term comes to an end in September 2023. So it's been a good experience to be part of the UbuntuNet Alliance. You know, the alliance started small. I think that time there were only about 2 or 3 countries that started: Uganda, Zambia, and Kenya. And the idea was to offer cheaper bandwidth to our higher education institutions in Eastern Southern Africa. So now it has grown. I think we have more than close to 20 or so member countries who have NRENs. NRENs are basically national education and research networks within the countries. Then within their countries, they connect, provide bandwidth to various higher education institutions, including schools. So we have grown. I think the original vision of having this network providing cheaper internet bandwidth has actually been fulfilled. We are saying cheaper because if you compare to the traditional ISPs, what the UbuntuNet Alliance offers, is lower. Also, it's not only bandwidth. The Alliance also offers services, for our education institutions, which are not offered in these other ISPs. So that's the advantage of the UbuntuNet Alliance. And of course, we have a governance structure where we have the General Assembly, or the AGM, which consists of members from the various countries, and the AGM, they're the ones that elects the Board of Trustees to assist it, run the alliance, as it provides its services. So our view is that going forward, we need to grow. We need to have more member countries. Some member countries are not yet members of the alliance, like the members in the SADC region. There are so many that are not yet with us. Eastern Africa, there are so many members that are not yet with us. So we'd like them to join so that we have a solid network in Eastern Southern Africa. Further, in some countries, the bandwidth or internet is provided to higher education institutions, but we would want schools, secondary schools, even primary schools, to also be part of this journey, so that we open up our schools to the internet, and so that our teaching and learning activities, we provide quality in how we teach. As you know, it's an internet world nowadays, so we need to move with what's happening in the world. So then going forward, would want as much as possible most of the institutions, schools, training institutions, higher education, primary, secondary, to be part of this network. And if we achieve that, we would have actually achieved our vision. We should continue supporting the Alliance because this is your network, and you are the one that unites and puts it together. So let's continue supporting it. Of course, there are certain payments that the NRENs give to the Alliance to pay for the services, because the Alliance also buys these services from elsewhere, from Europe and so forth. So let's keep that moving so that we make the Alliance stronger going forward, and so that we also continue improving on its activities. As it grows, of course, there are challenges when you are growing. Just like a human being, when you are growing, you encounter challenges in your growth. The Alliance is also undergoing similar things. So as we grow, we need to strengthen our governance structures and our management structures. So your participation in all this is very, very important. Thank you.
My name is Helisi Chakosamoto Mtepangambi. I'm giving you the whole of it. In terms of my role in our UbuntuNNet Alliance, I played different roles at different times. First, as a trustee, and then I was elected as the vice chairperson of the board, and I also served as the chairperson of the executive committee of the board. And also I was called upon at some point in time to help facilitate some moral survey. So I did a moral survey and did a report on behalf of the board, to the board, and made recommendations for implementation. And yes, so it has been mostly to as a member of the board and playing different roles at different times, and also acted as a chairperson of the board at a period in time between the two chairpersons. Yes. Yeah, actually, maybe I should even indicate that, you know, I've been privileged and honored to be, I've been involved in two search committees. I was part of the team that employed the former CEO, Dr. Mtumbuka, and also part of the search committee that employed the current one. And so I've been excited about that. One thing that I can say is that we have lived our vision, because our vision as UbuntuNet has been centered on building, you know, sustainable community of NRENs, ensuring that they're innovative, ensuring that they, you know, think outside the box, not just about just connectivity, but going beyond to ensure that the purpose for our survival, in other words, education and research doesn't just talk about connectivity, but even beyond. So we have had interactions with the, you know, the NRENs at different points in time, and we have grown. And you know, in knowing each other and in working together, and in ensuring that we have indeed sustainable communities of NRENs that are innovative and vibrant. And I continue talking about sustainable because that's at the center of it all. We need to be able to sustain ourselves, and of course, in terms of the higher education and tertiary institutions, we have, I think, brought great benefit in that regard, because the cost of connectivity prior to our coming on board was not sustainable. Nobody could even afford or individually, but together we managed to reduce the costs, and with the partners, you know, from different the countries, we have really seen us growing, and we are grateful for that. I would like the UbuntuNet Alliance to start ensuring that the government, both in the southern and eastern block of our continent, understand the importance, you know, of UbuntuNet Alliance, of what the services that UbuntuNet Alliance is providing. If you think about the COVID-19, the way it happened, if UbuntuNet Alliance was not there for us as institutions, I also remember I was also a vice chancellor of Murungoshi University in Zambia. We would not have easily picked up if the cost was what we could not afford. So we were able, for example, at Murungoshi University, not even to close the university, but to immediately transit into online and everything else because of the facilitation through UbuntuNet Alliance. So if the government can understand the important role that UbuntuNet Alliance is playing in the, you know, education and research, which is critical for any sustainable development in any country on a continent, then they should be able to support us. So UbuntuNet Alliance should go ahead and ensure that our government understand that role, and that our NRENs facilitate, you know, those connections with the government and all the sponsoring and institutions within the countries. At the end of the day, we cannot continue to depend, you know, on Africa Connect 1, Africa 2, 3, and expect 4 and 5. No, there must come a time when we know that we can be able to sustain ourselves without getting funding from anywhere else. I always say that, you know, we have a lot of resources as the continent. If only we can start becoming responsible, accountable, relevant, and ethical. I mean, you know, if I don't say that, I wouldn't have spoken. If we don't, if we don't become rare we don't adopt the rare values, always asking ourselves, are we being responsible to ourselves and each other in what we are doing, our decision, our modus operandi? Are we accountable to ourselves and everybody else we interact with? People put us in position, they appoint us in position. Are we accountable enough for those resources, human and all others? Are we relevant? Always asking ourselves the question, are we adding value in what we are doing or not? Are we being ethical in our conduct, ensuring that what is entrusted to us is appropriately used? So we need to continue talking about being rare, as I call it, responsible, accountable, and ethical in all our conduct so that we can sustain ourselves. UbuntuNet Alliance has got a big role to play in the development of the continent at large. So I trust that, going forward, our vision should be ensuring that we are sustainable. We galvanize our resources to ensure that at the end of it all, even if partners don't come in to give us any money, we should be able to thrive and survive and be an equal partner like any other in any continent. Forget that you are at the center of development, because without education, without research, we cannot develop. So ensure that everybody, where you are in your sphere of influence, is able to participate and benefit from this great service that UbuntuNet Alliance is offering, and that you are the owner of UbuntuNet Alliance as an NREN. So take ownership and use it to ensure that you improve your community, your country, and every place where you are, that we can be able to sustain ourselves. Because if we cannot afford education, we cannot afford research, and there will be no innovation or creativity. So own it. It's yours, and ensure you take it to the next level. And I say, to conclude, be rare. Just be rare. Responsible, accountable, and ethical in everything you do, and we'll be there. Because those are the values that can sustain us. Thank you.
Idris Rai. I'm from Tanzania. I joined the Board of Trustees of UbuntuNet Alliance in 2017 when I was the Vice Chancellor of State University of Zanzibar. At the trustee, I also served 2 terms as the member of Executive Committee. Of course, the roles of the trustees and the Executive Committee are known to provide an oversight on issues that are proposed for the UbuntuNet Alliance management. Well, I've got huge experience in the governance of UbuntuNet Alliance in the past 5 years. And one of it that I take with me is the memories of leadership changes. For 5 years, we've seen UbuntuNet Alliance being served by 5 CEOs, actually. 3 being substantive and 2 being acting. I was the acting CEO for some short time. And at any time during transition, there's a lot that we've been learning. Whether we depending on the reason why the former CEO is leaving, we were there as the executive committee to make sure that we get a new CEO. And the process of coming from the outgoing CEO to the new CEO has a lot to learn. But on the other hand, my experience is observing how the UbuntuNet Alliance was growing. In these 5 years, particularly the last 3 years, we've seen huge growth and quick growth of UbuntuNet Alliance in terms of gaining more members from countries that do not have NRENs and countries that have national lands. So the experience was particularly learning on how to manage transitions, particularly. But the other one is to see the growth of the Alliance over time, gaining more members and the Alliance getting popularity in the world. Okay, so I said I've observed the UbuntuNet Alliance growing during that time, but it has not completed the growth because we still have some member countries in the region who either don't have national research and education networks, or they are not members, or they are not active members. So there's still a lot of work to be done. So I'd like to see all member countries in the region become, they have their national education and research networks and become members of UbuntuNet Alliance. And I'd like to see institutions, particularly higher education institutions in member countries, are fully engaged to understand the role of UbuntuNet Alliance, the role of national education research networks. But also importantly, I would like to see more services implemented, developed and implemented that will eventually or inevitably help the higher education institutions. And I think there's a huge gap there. Being a member of trustee, I know a lot of work has been done, but I think we are at infancy at that level. There's a lot that can be done, and there's a host of these services that higher education institutions can benefit from UbuntuNet Alliance and eventually through NRENs. So there's a lot to be done. I think we have a lot to do together. I mean, the Alliance, or the board, the governing board, the NRENs, to see that UbuntuNet Alliance really absorb the demand of the services as well as connectivity that it can offer in member countries. So it's a vision to see that all countries in the region where UbuntuNet Alliance is representing have national education research networks. That's one. But also it's a vision to see that universities are engaged, fully engaged, and services are available so that they can benefit on their day-to-day activities in academia as well as research. UbuntuNet Alliance is covering a region with some different social and a little bit economic backgrounds. There are countries that are well off and they're well connected. They can rely on their own to run their networks. And there are countries that, in the middle level, and there are countries that still don't have NRENs. What I wish, and the message to them is to make sure that they come together, they help, they group together, come together to help the alliance to grow. The alliance doesn't need support only from outside, from the European Union or other funding agencies, but also the support of the NRENs is key here. So NRENs have contribution to the alliance to make sure the alliance can provide the services it intends to offer. So integration is key. Disintegration is a disease, and I think if NRENs one day are thinking about disintegrating from the alliance, I think that will be, the beginning of the death of the alliance. So my message to them is to make sure that they engage with the UbuntuNet Alliance. The UbuntuNet Alliance engages with the NRENs so that they become one entity. So the NRENs are supporting the UbuntuNet Alliance to provide the services it offers. On the other hand, the UbuntuNet Alliance should be also closely offer the service it has to offer to the NRENs, so that it's growing, but also it's growing as an entity, single entity, and not fragmented, based on whether some NRENs can have more money or can have more capability to run by themselves or by other reasons that may lead it to be disintegrated. So I wish and I hope that UbuntuNet Alliance will not only grow, but it will grow as a single entity, not defragmented.
My name, I said, is Dr. Margaret Mushi. I was the former CEO for TANET, Tanzania Education and Research Network from Tanzania. But my current role with the UbuntuNet Alliance is the board member. I've been the board member since 2019, and I think this is my third year. So I will share my experience in two perspectives, as a board member and also as one of the NREN CEOs. First of all, with the board, I've been with the board for 3 years, and it was a really humbling experience to serve the continent and also to serve my nation in the alliance. When you are in the board, you are part of the team that makes decision for the alliance, and the alliance has 16 NRENs. That means 16 countries that are served by the alliance, and probably there are more coming on board. And making decision that impacts 16 countries in Africa is a big humbling and also challenging. I want to say experience, but it's more of a challenging situation or a challenging position that you are in as a board member. And whatever you do, whatever you approve, and whatever you don't approve impact those countries and impact the education and research in those countries. So it was really a great position. It was really a humbling position to be able to do that, and I'm really grateful under the wonderful chairmanship of the Professor Simkanka. We were able to do what we were able to do until now, and you can see that the NRENs are thriving, the board is thriving, and we don't go without challenges. There are many challenges, but there are also many success stories that we have had, and that has been my experience with the board. Bringing the community together, bringing the partners, international and national partners together to be able to work towards the common goal of enhancing education and research in the countries. So that has been my experience as a board member. But as TNNET CEO it has been 4 years. I've been with TNNET since 2017. I think that's when I started as CEO with TNNET. Even though I've been with TNNET since its establishment in 2008, I was one of the 4 people establishing the NREN, and also I went with other positions in the country, and then I came back as the CEO in 2017 with TNNET. And as with many other NRENs in the continent, we have had a lot of success challenges. I mean success stories, but also we have had challenges, of bringing members together. And we have competition within the country. We also have places where we need government support, even though we are not a government entity. But we also have situation where we have to convince members that the NREN is there to serve them, and the NREN is there for the education and research community and not for any profit-making endeavors. And so it was, and especially that the NRENs, usually most of the NRENs, including TNNET itself, were formed way after the members, like the university and research institutions. It was my wish to see that when the education system started, the NRENs were there, but the NRENs were not there. So the NRENs are coming late after the members have been there, and they have established some of their structures and other things. They have been supported by the government, and now even though the NREN is coming in to fill in what is missing, because with the technology advancement and the need for connectivity, now we are the connected world. So with the need for connectivity and other services that enables the digital transformation of the institutions, that's where the NREN fit in. And that mission, that vision of the NREN has to be well communicated to members in order to be able to bring members together and build that community. So it has been a great experience in those 4 years. As I said before, it is really humbling to be CEO of an NREN and also being in the UbuntiNNet Alliance Board. I have this spectrum of all the success we have had and the challenges we have had. But for now, as I look at the UbuntiNNet Alliance community, and the CEO, Professor Ogot, was telling us, and which is really the fact that we are UbuntiNNet Alliance of NRENs. So the alliance is built on the NREN. It's the NREN that makes the alliance. So really what I wish to see in the coming years is the NREN coming together for the alliance. Like the NREN owning the alliance, having that ownership that this is our alliance and it's us who make it. And then the partners and the supporters like European Commission and other international partners comes to back them up. As you see right now, we are really grateful to European Commission. We are grateful to World Bank in supporting the NRENs and the alliance vision. But what I really want to see is the NREN going forward and the partners coming behind them. And then really that is my wish. One key thing I want to say to the NRENs and especially the CEO, we hang in there. We have had challenges, and our challenges are very different. If you look at challenges in Tanzania and Kenya and Uganda, there are things we have in common, but there are other things that they are completely different, and everyone will face different challenges. But it's always good to handhold each other and share experience, and also supporting each other in many other things. I know, and the other thing is, like, we have NRENs in this entire spectrum. The one that they are well supported by their government, and there are other ones that are not at all supported by their government, but they are still struggling and they're still 7 members. I would say to hang in there, to hold each other and support each other, and we are able to save our communities that way. And we are built from scratch by this community spirit, that we do things for the community, and we continue to. And I want to continue giving courage to NREN CEO to keep on going and serving the education and research community, because they are needed. Despite the challenges, despite what they see, that sometimes you will feel like maybe the NREN is not needed. But looking back and see what we are able to provide to the community, the NRENs are needed, and especially now when we are moving with digital transformation. The NRENs really have a position, and they have work to do to make sure that the education and research community is well transformed digitally.